Producer, filmmaker, and director Tyler Perry has a second sexual assault lawsuit against him, this time from a different guy. So we talked about the guy who sued him in 2024. Now we're starting off the new year with another sexual assault lawsuit against him. What the hell is going on with Tyler Perry? Let's go ahead and get into this story here, ladies and gents. It's not looking good for Tyler.
Man on the other end of that phone, familiar name if you've been following us here on Sidebar. We're talking about Tyler Perry, the filmmaker, the producer behind Madea, massive entertainment empire. And the person accusing him now is model Mario Rodriguez. He is now suing Tyler Perry. Now, the reason that I say this is because as we go into these shocking claims and the potential legal strength of these claims, I mean, we're talking allegations of sexual assault by Perry, followed by something that I think is going to make your jaw drop. This is not the first time we have talked about Tyler Perry recently. No, we covered Tyler Perry here before, back in June. Another actor, Derek Dixon, filed a $260 million lawsuit in California accusing Perry of essentially quid pro quo sexual harassment and assault. Now, Perry's legal team, they fought back hard. They called it a failed money grab, arguing the case should be thrown out or moved to Georgia. That battle is still playing out, by the way. But now Perry is facing a second, arguably strikingly similar kind of lawsuit. And that's what we want to go into. Now, this new one was filed just days ago, literally on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2025 in California Superior Court. And this is brought, again, by Mario Rodriguez, a model, an actor who had this very small role in Perry's 2016 film called Boo, a Madea Halloween.
So we have another actor who worked with Tyler Perry who is accusing him of sexual assault. So what this is showing you at this point in time, that Tyler Perry allegedly seems to have predatory behavior and is using his power in such a way against people who are looking for a break in Hollywood. We all know Tyler Perry also owns his own studio. That was a big deal for him to establish his own studio, Tyler Perry Studios. Big deal. We know that he has gone, I guess, to some great lengths to give people a break in the industry that probably wouldn't have received a break otherwise. But what these lawsuits show is that Tyler Perry is using his money and his power in such a way that is victimizing people. If you own the studio, you're the director, you're the producer, you're the writer, which he usually is, all of those things for his movies and for his TV shows. And you're also now the casting director, you are in control. And when someone is looking for a big break and you come to them and you say, hey, I'm going to give you that chance. I'm going to give you an opportunity where these big budget studios in Hollywood are not willing to do so. You know, for a lot of these people, they look at this as like, yay, you know, I finally made it. I'm finally able to get that opportunity. And then he uses his power against them. How is that any different from what happens in the music industry? From these producers who do this to musicians? How is that any different from other producers in Hollywood that have done this to other actors as well? Let's continue.
This lawsuit doesn't just name Tyler Perry. It also seemingly targets his production company and Lionsgate, the studio that distributes Tyler Perry's films. So accusing them essentially of knowing about his alleged behavior, enabling it, and benefiting from him. So, by the way, from a legal point of view, from a lawsuit point of view, you usually go after the entities, as that may be where the money, the assets are for purposes of liability and collection. What are the key allegations? What's the main theme here? Rodriguez claims that Perry used the promise of roles, a Hollywood career, to groom him, make sexual advances, touch him, and sexually abuse him.
Sounds very similar to the lawsuit that was filed against him in 2024. If you let me do this and this to you, then I'll give you any type of role that you want. Predatory behavior. And honestly, last year, some people were saying, well, we don't know if this is true and we just want to hear his side of the story. Okay. Now you got a second one, so it just, we're seeing a pattern here, a pattern of Tyler Perry offering these roles to these guys in exchange for something else that they apparently do not want, allegedly making advances towards them. And so essentially what people need to understand is that Tyler Perry is their boss. He's Rodrigo's boss. So if your boss comes up to you and approach you in a predatory way, touch you when you don't want to be touched in a sexual way, make sexual advances towards you, it puts you in an awkward position, because this isn't just some random person. This is your supervisor. So then the question becomes, do you want to keep your job? Then you have to be quiet. Or do you want to not deal with this and then just walk away? And then essentially shutting the door to the entertainment industry altogether, because the reality is when people have done this in the past, they've been blackballed in the industry. So based on the things that I have seen and what I have read, it kind of doesn't surprise me anymore with Tyler Perry. There had been rumors for quite some time, but these are lawsuits. The second one.
And the suit describes an alleged pattern of isolating him, prying into past trauma, escalating physical contact, and explicit propositions. But the details in the complaint, they are very, very specific. They are also graphic, and they follow a disturbing script, for lack of a better word, a script. Okay, and that's what we want to go into. We want to go through this story and see if there's a strength to it, strength to these claims, strength to the narrative. So I'm going to walk you through the complaint, basically page by page, and I'm going to read you directly from key sections so you can hear the language that it's used. So the document starts by setting the stage. The second paragraph reads, quote, "Defendant Tyler Perry is a producer-director who wields immense power in the movie industry. Unfortunately, Perry uses his power to abuse and sexually assault people who hope to secure roles in his movies. Perry's type are those who have been victims of childhood traumas in the past. Plaintiff Mario Rodriguez was one of his victims." Now
that's unfortunate as well, because Tyler Perry has been very vocal about the abuse that he experienced as a child. He's talked about this on Oprah's show and many others. And so it's like, what you went through. So why would you do that to someone else? Right. So, and sometimes, and we've seen this before, where sometimes people who have been abused, they go on to abuse other people. That doesn't excuse it in any way, shape, or form. But this is a big problem for him. And now some people might look at it and say, what if these guys are just trying to get money? Could be a possibility, but it's so detailed. That's what I noticed with the lawsuit in 2024. I'm like, wow, this is very detailed. And then there were text messages to kind of support what he was saying. And then now you have this situation, which this one also was pretty detailed.
That's key language, because I said at the time, I remember this, when Dixon had filed his lawsuit against Tyler Perry, I wondered, would this lead to more accusers to come forward, right? Was Derek Dixon just a one-off making these allegations, or could this start more people coming forward? It's a two-edged sword when you think about it, right? Perry's position could be, as soon as one person sues, this will open the floodgates for more false accusations. The other side, assuming all the allegations are true, takes one person to come forward against a wealthy, powerful person for others to feel safe to do so. We've seen this back and forth in a lot of high-profile sexual misconduct cases. And I will say, too, this is important to note, Rodriguez is represented by the same lawyer who brought Derek Dixon's claims. We're talking about Jonathan Delshad. We'll get more on that a little bit later.
So what that means is that Derek Dixon's lawyer, he's building a big case. So there are probably going to be others that come forward as well. We saw this with the Diddy situation too, where, the lawyer may say, okay, I have this one client. I wonder if there are others. And then the lawyer will, get other people to come forward as well. I want to get to this comment here. Sunlight said, I don't believe this. This sounds like the typical, but let's look at the black man instead of the Epstein co-conspirators. That's a good point. But the thing about Tyler Perry that I want to mention is don't forget that Taraji P. Henson came forward when she was saying that both Oprah and Tyler Perry, they weren't treated right. They weren't paid what they were supposed to be paid. They came out about the conditions for the set of Color Purple. I remember Taraji P. Henson came forward about that. And I guess Tyler Perry's way of apologizing for that was to put her in his other movie, that next movie that came out called Straw. So I guess that was kind of his way of saying, I'm sorry, to her for that or whatever. We also know actress Monique also came forward years ago, and she said Tyler Perry and once again, Oprah Winfrey, they seem to go together with a lot of this stuff, that they were not paying people what they were supposed to be paid. That Monique came forward years ago and said how Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey did her dirty and they blackballed her in the entertainment industry. So these are people that have immense power. Tyler Perry is a billionaire. Oprah is also a billionaire. And I told you guys before, there's no such thing as an ethical billionaire. So when I look at how he did them, I wouldn't put it past him, put it that way. Let's continue on more here.
But the core allegation is established immediately. We're talking about an abuse of power targeting vulnerable people. Now, how did Rodriguez enter into Perry's orbit, right? Let's start there. So the complaint says that in 2015, a trainer at an Equinox gym out in Los Angeles approached Rodriguez and told him, quote, that defendant Tyler Perry wanted to meet Mr. Rodriguez and to talk about offering him an acting role. And the complaint alleges that Perry called him that same day. The filing allegedly quotes Perry from that call saying about the potential role, quote, Mario, I'm not a bad person to know and have in your corner. And the suit states that Rodriguez auditions, quickly gets the part. It reads, clearly the audition was only a formality given Mr. Perry's position of power and his personal desire to have Mr. Rodriguez work for him. Okay, let's stop right there. So first, if Rodriguez can establish that Perry called him and that this person approached him at Equinox, so you wonder if that person would testify if they're available, that would be key. Does become a question, how does Rodriguez remember essentially verbatim what Perry had said? Did he document it in some way? This call.
But what I noticed about this is it seems somewhat similar with the Derek situation from 2024, where Tyler Perry sought them out. They didn't come to him, he came to them. And so that's something that I also have in the back of my mind, that like they didn't come to him and say, hey, can you help me get this role? I want to do this. He went to them. So it's like, again, not knowing if he had any acting experience, similar thing with Derek, not knowing if he had any active experience is basically saying, okay, well, these are fit, look healthy, good looking men. I would like to put them in my movies. Again, not knowing if they have any acting experience and what that's like at all. So that's something that I've been thinking about, the fact that he went after them.
Was probably not recorded, but an argument could be, it's unusual for Tyler Perry to set all this up, have a communication with a minor player in a film, usually a casting director or a producer would handle that. But I don't know, maybe there's an argument that this is Perry's style. He has ownership on all aspects. He wants to speak to everybody that's involved in the cast. The other way to look at it is this is unusual. And Perry targeted Rodriguez and only got him the part for his own personal reasons. Now, how can they establish the phone call other than through the testimony of Rodriguez? Maybe there's phone records, but obviously it wouldn't be a printout of their conversation. It would rather be just this call took place at that time. But again, we're talking about, 10 years ago. So then the complaint describes things escalating during this solo visit that Rodriguez made to Perry's Los Angeles home. This is key. Now, Rodriguez makes clear that while all of this is going on, he's just really excited for this acting opportunity and to be working with Tyler Perry. So anyway, He allegedly goes over, they have drinks, they go to Tyler Perry's theater room. Now, first, the complaint details this instruction from Perry. He allegedly told Mr. Rodriguez to keep his cell phone in the kitchen because, quote, there are cameras everywhere and they're always listening. By the way, if there really are cameras in his house, is that something that could be obtained through discovery and you can have him on camera saying that? I don't know. In the theater, this is important. The suit alleges that Perry began asking deeply personal questions about Rodriguez's childhood and traumas, and Rodriguez became emotional. The suit alleges, quote, Mr. Perry told him, "You have a lot of trauma in you, and believe it or not, we have a lot in common." Mr. Perry.
This is typical predator behavior. This is another thing here that I really paid attention to, trying to get them to open up about deeply painful experiences, trying to get them to talk about past trauma, trying to get them, in other words, to be very vulnerable. I feel like that's typical predator behavior, ladies and gentlemen.
He told Mr. Rodriguez to stand up and said, "Come here, man, let me hug you." Mr. Perry hugged Mr. Rodriguez and said, "It's not your fault." Now listen to this, quote, "In the moment, Mr. Rodriguez could not help but feel that Mr. Perry was trying to reenact the famous scene between Matt Damon and Robin Williams from the acclaimed 1997 movie Good Will Hunting." Now, if you haven't seen Good Will Hunting, first of all, you should. It's a great movie. But if you haven't, it's a very famous therapy scene where Robin Williams' character repeatedly tells Matt Damon's character.
We're just going to fast forward here.
He's so specific. Could he really make this up? Maybe, maybe not. But you go from there. The complaint describes this encounter taking a turn. This is when, according to Rodriguez, it turns physically invasive, with Perry then allegedly rubbing Rodriguez's shoulders and his chest and making comments. And when Rodriguez sits back down, he claims that Perry sat next to him and began rubbing his inner thigh.
Now, let's stop there. We're not going to go too deep into this because there are some of the things we want to play on here. But the reality is that sounds very familiar with what Derek described in 2024. The first guy that came forward to file a lawsuit against Tyler Perry, similar behavior there, starting it off with like a massage. Again, I feel like this is such predatory behavior, starting it off with like massaging your shoulders and then your hands wind up somewhere else. It's similar to what Derek described. Again, I want to remind people that's his boss. Someone is saying, hey, I can help you out here in the entertainment industry. I can help you, this is why I said we are naming names in 2026. There will probably be more people that come forward against Tyler Perry. But if I'm looking back at his behavior and the way that he, according to Taraji P. Henson and Monique, the way that he treated them along with Oprah, and that's a financial situation, and blackballing people in the industry, it puts someone like Rodrigo and Derek in a position where if I don't let this happen, then he's going to blackball me too. And it's just, and no, if you don't want something to happen like that, then you should, you have every right to say no. And no, I do not want you doing this to me. I'm not interested in any way, shape, or form. But Tyler Perry knows better. That's the point that I'm trying to get across. As someone in a position of power, you know better. And again, he went after them. He sought them out. He approached Derek. He approached Rodrigo. So I'm noticing a pattern here. And I think that what could have happened for quite some time is that Tyler Perry has a lot of money, and his money has been able to carry him along and protect him. And when you don't have much money and you're going against someone that has a lot of money, good luck. So we'll find out more about this lawsuit as time goes by, but we are just starting off 2026. And like I said, it is not looking good for Tyler Perry for this to be the second guy. And it makes you wonder who else is going to come forward. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.